to it. So I did that. And then when I was swimming in college, I also started coaching swimming. So that's really where I really got this like well-rounded perspective of this is swimming, this is how coaching works. And then I also started tinkering with like the business side of swimming, but I never thought I would start a swimming company. So I always thought maybe I would start a company one day, but it would be in something else. Like I wasn't thinking that far ahead, honestly, as an adolescent, right? So I was thinking I want to be involved with something that I can have a lot of impact in, and I have a lot of control over. And so I figured, let me go work at startups because I'm really passionate about building things and I consider myself like a creator. So during college, in addition to coaching and swimming, I worked at a few different startups. And after school, I also worked at some venture-backed startups in technology doing marketing. And then while I was coaching swimming, I started to see that there were some problems that adult swimmers face. So I was coaching masters swimming. And sure enough, I realized like, wait a second, all these people who are swimming as adults, like the majority of the swimming population, they really need a coach to tell them what to do. They need guidance. Like they don't have the background that I have as a former collegiate swimmer and like a coach. And I'm so obsessed with this stuff. Most people don't have that and they don't care actually. They would rather show up to the pool, someone tells them what to do, and then they go on with their day after that. And the problem is, you know, a lot of people don't have access to that. They don't have access to a master's workout. They don't have access to a coach, and maybe they can't afford that, even if they do have access to it. So that's really where I started to see this problem as a swimmer, as a coach, and then in the tech entrepreneur scene. And so I realized, okay, this is a problem, and there's a solution that I know that I can build and I can solve this. And that's really how my Swim Pro was born. And this was around 2014 when it was just an idea right out of school that I was thinking, I can solve this problem because it's a really big opportunity to help a lot of people. And so we fast forward now and we've been able to help a lot of people. So that's really fun. And the grind continues. So it's still a startup. There's ups and downs. And now through my book, I'm able to help a lot more people in a different way. So one way to help people is through, videos. Another way is through, an app. We have training plans and stuff like that. But a lot of people want to learn about improving something and they do it through reading or even listening to something. And so I figured, I want to be able to package everything that I know and everything that I've learned over all these years into one central spot. And that's how the book came about, Swim Like a Pro.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And there's a lot in there that I would like to unpack. And I guess with My Swim Pro, the app, how many downloads do you have now? How many different countries are you in? How many different languages?
Yeah, so it's been pretty crazy. When I started the company, I didn't think about it from a global perspective. I thought, in my immediate, in the United States, in Michigan, I know that there's a lot of people who could find value in this. And I knew across the United States, right? And that's how I was thinking about it. And then as soon as you launch anything that's digital, people all over the world can see it. And that's the beauty of technology and the beauty of the App Store and distribution like that. So to date, we have close to 1.5 million downloads across, almost 200 countries. So like almost every single country in the world, someone's downloaded My Swim Pro, wow, which is kind of crazy to think about it. Now, if you were to pick out like a single country that's the biggest, the United States is the biggest of all of those, but it's still very distributed and very spread out. And the app is in 9 languages now. So if you think about it from the perspective, like, okay, the US is a large country, large economy, but it's still only 4% roughly of the world's population. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about it from that perspective, it's like, whoa, what about the other 90+% of people? People swim all over the world. So, now to have the app in more languages and to have, even a million downloads, it sounds like a lot, but it's really not when you think about it from like, there's billions of people in the world and how many hundreds of millions of people swim for either competition, fitness, or triathlon or something like that. So, I mean, we're definitely making progress. I don't want to say like a million is nothing, but it's a lot of people, but I think there's a much bigger opportunity still in front of us.
Yeah. And it's a pretty awesome app. I'll include a link down in the description as well. And how many people are on your team now? Because I think I met you in 2014. You came to Oakland University and did a talk about starting a business. So I think that was pretty early on in your career. But I just remember talking to you because I do a lot of private swim lessons. And I was actually thinking about like, oh, maybe I could do a video service where someone sends in a video and I critique it. And I actually see that you do the same thing. You do it way better than I do. You actually get on there, draw the little angles about it and show it, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we kind of talked about it. You're like, yeah, it sounds like you have a good side hustle, and you told me just keep doing it. And that's what I've been doing. And it's funny because now I actually coach a lot of triathletes and master swimmers. It's just interesting seeing the difference between coaching age groupers now to coaching adults, because it is sometimes they have the shoulder mobility issues. It's hard to get all the way around, but they can still grow and get better, which is, I think that's everything behind the book, the app, your videos. It's just that improvement is what it's focused on. Which is really awesome. So I guess with that is like, you mentioned earlier that a lot of college athletes, once they finish their collegiate career, they're done. So how come you think you didn't get burned out of the sport?
Yeah, that's so true. I think it's not just in swimming, in every sport. And actually, it's not just even in sports. If you do anything and you put in so much time into it, you're gonna get burned out at some point. I mean, even if you love what you're doing, it's really difficult to stay consistent over a long period of time. And that's what makes, when you look at like Michael Phelps, or you look at any other top athlete like Tom Brady or LeBron James, whatever, anyone who's been doing something at a really, really high level for a really long period of time, it actually, I think now I recognize how impressive that is, because most people, they stop because it's not like they're not physically able to keep doing it. It's like mental too. You're mentally gassed and burned out. So, I mean, I don't know what the answer is for me. I think there's a couple of contributing factors. One of them is probably how I got into swimming. And it was sort of on my own will. Like it wasn't something I did a lot when I was age like 7. I know some people, they start swimming or doing their sport really young, and they start doing it all year round. And they put so much pressure at age 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And so, I mean, when you get to age 20, you've already put in over a decade of grinding it out. So I think that's one contributing factor, that I didn't have that. I only started getting kind of serious about it like on my own. Like my parents, didn't know anything about swimming. They put me in swim lessons, and it kind of like was my own thing. So I didn't start doing that very seriously until like later in high school, and then in college. And then even in college, like I was serious, but I wasn't, I look at some of the top collegiate swimmers, and it's, 365 days a year, like all out effort. And for me, I mean, there's the college season, and I was still competing in the summers and stuff, but not at the same level as I know other people are. So I think for me, I didn't really ever put in that much of a grind in the first place when I was, age 15, like I know a lot of other people. So that might be one contributing factor. Another is that maybe this is my personality, and I mentioned I'm a creator. I just like to be in an environment that I have the flexibility to do whatever I want. And so with swimming, I've luckily found how to do that. And a lot of people actually don't figure that out. So what I mean by that is, a lot of people, they swim on like a team, and you're sort of in the confines of that team environment. So you practice with the team, with the coach, you do what the coach says, you go to the swimming competitions that the coach tells you to go to. And if you never sort of get out of that box, or even see the opportunity to get out of that box, that can burn you out as well, because you feel like you don't have any control over what you're doing. So for me, in high school and club and college, you're in the box. And so luckily I found master swimming, and I found out like the more entrepreneurial side of swimming is like, I can write my own swim workouts. And luckily I have the knowledge and the interest to be able to do that. Not everyone has that, hence why I started my swim pro. But, to be able to figure out like, I can write my own workout. I don't need to swim 8,000 meters. I can swim 2,000 meters, and I can focus on things that I want to focus on. I can put in less time. I can focus on lifting weights. I can do other things that I maybe didn't have the opportunity because I was in the box. And now that I'm out of the box, I can, you find more enjoyment when you're doing something that you have a little bit more control over. And so for me, that's, I think, another contributing factor why I didn't like burn out. And then now we compound that. Like, I think the third thing is the fact that like, I've committed at least this part of my life to building a business and a brand, and ideally an empire around this category. So it makes it a lot easier, because like every day I can go swimming, and there's no like guilt of like, oh, I don't have time to do this. Like, no, I enjoy it. I have time to do it, and it benefits me in a number of different ways, from like health, but also like business as well. So I'm in that unique position where I know not a lot of people are, but I think maybe some of those factors as to why I haven't like been burned out.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And that's the thing I love about master swimming too, is that you see all different rays of ability, and then ages too. Like I remember Bob, I think his last name Dode. Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching him swim the 200 butterfly and setting the world record in the 50, 100, 200 butterfly,
Yeah.
like the 95 to 100 age group. I'm like, all right, in 7 decades, that's going to be my goal.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you can do competition. You don't have to do competition. You can just go get big in the weight room and then swim for like recovery. So there's all these things that you can do if you understand that you have the flexibility to control all that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And that's kind of like, I guess we'll get into the book a little bit more. Is I know that you have a message, you want to teach more people about swimming, and there's like a gap in knowledge, and a lot of people want to learn more. But I guess really, what is the inspiration? Why did you decide that I need to write this book?
Yeah, so actually, the idea for the book, it came out from the pandemic last year in 2020, and so if you remove the book, so I'm producing a lot of content on YouTube, on in the app, and building the business, and so I've been doing that for like 5 years. So, when your head is so deep into something, sometimes you forget about other things that are kind of obvious. So for me, my mission and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help people get better at swimming. And so how do you do that? So I created an app, we put out good media content. I write a lot of articles, but then during the pandemic, a lot of people were not, you're not traveling, you're not going anywhere. So a lot of people started consuming and sharing things that they're consuming meaning like media. So they're watching more YouTube videos. Maybe they're watching more Netflix. Maybe they're listening to more audiobooks. Like I saw a lot of people were, posting they'd go for walks and they'd listen to audiobooks. People were talking about their reading list, and now they're taking an opportunity to read more books. And there were a few people I follow on social media, and they were talking about how they've written books and how people, that's just another channel for them to share their message. And I thought, yeah, why don't I do that? Like there's this huge gap, I got the app, we got the software part covered. We have, there's social media, there's videos, I've written articles, but some people don't want to do any of that. Some people would rather read a book. And if you think about it, all of this stuff that like I've created in the last 5 years, all these videos and articles I've written, it's kind of like a scattered mess. Like I've literally written hundreds of articles and there's hundreds of videos of me talking about swimming on the internet. But where do you start? Like you're not going to watch all of them at the same time. So like, how do you know which video to watch first, which article? Because like if you read this article here, but then maybe there's this other one. So it's hard to find them. That's like a product challenge that we deal with at My Swim Pro. But then it's also just, how do you keep package it and make it more concise? And so the easiest answer is you just put like a step-by-step guide in a book format. And that's what it is. It's like, how do I take all this stuff that I've sort of already talked about or researched, all these years of experience, just put it in one spot and make it really, really easy for someone to go from zero to understanding something very well in just a couple hundred pages. And so, whether someone wants to read it or listen to it on audiobook or something like that, that's the huge benefit of a book compared to something else. And some people, that's their preferred method of learning. And so I figured last year during the pandemic, well, I guess I should probably write a book, because this is something this is a channel of helping people that I haven't really done anything in. And I think I'm positioned very well to do it. And I'm not traveling the world right now, so I may as well write a book.
Yeah. Yeah. Not traveling, so might as well write a book. What else do you have to do?
Right on.
But no, that's awesome. And I know I've appreciated it because speaking of the pandemic, is last week I went and got my second vaccine shot. And I was in line for probably 3 hours plus. And I was able to read, I was able to get through it. I'd already started before it, but I was able to read over 100 pages while sitting there. So it's nice just to sit there in my lawn chair, go through the book and enjoy it. I know you have a video portion to it. So I didn't get to check out the videos while I was reading it, but maybe touch a little bit on, you had the book, but then there's also videos associated with it too.
Yeah, so I sort of went to the next level. I built a whole online course that goes with the book. And so I wasn't planning on doing that. So like, if you think about the problems that I mentioned as to why I wrote the book, so it's, here's a channel that we can help people. But what I also realized is that if you're trying to learn something that's so technical like swimming, and you're talking about technique, and I purchased all the other swimming books and like all the top ones on Amazon. I know a lot of the authors. I've read through them. The problem is, like, that's not how you learn something that's like a mobile tactical skill, like that you're using your body. You can't look at a picture and say that is swimming. Look at the picture, here's a sentence, and go learn. So especially for a beginner, I think if you're more advanced, you can absorb the material just through words. Like you or I can read something and visualize what that would look like. But if you're a beginner, like technically a video is the best way to do it. Now I mentioned I've made hundreds of videos, but it comes back to like the structure of them. So what I did was I decided, you know what, every chapter needs to have a video with some b-roll that associates it to it. So in this like online course that it's made specifically for the book, like it doesn't really make a lot of sense if it's just like with the course alone. So it's like it's two together, so you can watch a video and then it's me in the video explaining the concepts in the chapter, and then there's a video demonstration of like what the stroke actually looks like, and then you can read it, and then you get to learn from a few different perspectives, not just reading it but also being able to hear me speak about it, but then also see a few examples of what that looks like. And then the most valuable thing I think is how it's packaged together, where you go from like chapter to chapter and you get that progression, which is the challenge and the problem with, if you just go to like the My Swim Pro YouTube channel or you search what I've done on YouTube, you're going to get so many videos, but they're like really long and they're about all these different topics and they're not integrated together, versus if you go chapter by chapter, it makes it a lot better.
Yeah, because you talk about freestyle, backstroke, breaststroke, you talk about underwaters, talk about setting SMART goals. It's really, I liked how you set up the book and you like break it down within each one. I'm sure the course with it goes well too. Because like you mentioned, with swimming, it's like, yeah, if you've been in the sport, you can read something, you can see what it's like. But I remember for me, when I was 7 learning how to swim, my coach would always yell at me to have a high elbow. And so when I was swimming, I remember bringing my arm over and trying to get my elbow up as high as I could coming over the water. But then it was like, oh, she's talking about a high elbow catch where it's underneath the water, keeping your elbow up as you pull.
Right.
So yeah, it's just some of those things aren't as intuitive, and it's nice that you have that video component with it to really go through it. I know you're talking about the other swim books. Did you read Swimming Fast by Ernie Milglisco or Swimming Faster?
I've skimmed through. Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
a lot. I have, I'm looking at my shelf right now. I have like a bunch of them stacked up. And so I was trying to do research and see how, and not in triathlon too, there's a lot of triathlon books. So, but anyway, continue.
Oh yeah, no, I was going to say, because Ernie was actually my college coach's coach. So he's just a legend. He's done, like, he always came back to Oakland every year to talk about his analysis, and he would give us different stroke rates, stroke counts of what the Olympians are doing and what like drop off rate for 100, how fast you should take it out. I know he's just like legendary in the sport. So I know I always enjoyed listening to him talk. So I wondered if you read it.
I was going to say one thing with the different books, and actually the challenge with my book that I want to clear up for some people. So the title is actually a little deceiving. So it's Swim Like a Pro. And so you think that means like, oh, like a professional or like an elite swimmer. And I mean, like, as you read through it, like, it's not really for like an Olympian. It's more beginner focused, if anything. But it's applicable to anyone who's trying to get better, because there's fundamentals in there. And so some people, they've asked me like, can this book help me? Because I'm just getting started and I swim 3 times a week. And it's like, yes, absolutely. That's who I wrote the book for. I did not write this book for, Ryan Lochte to beat Michael Phelps. Right. This is not how, that's like, he can work with his coach to figure that out. But for the majority of the population who are not going for an Olympic or world record, they're just trying to get a little bit better or a lot better at what they do. That's how I approach the book. And what I realized is the title, even though I think it sounds cool, Swim Like a Pro, it actually scares some people away. So don't be scared, people. It's for anyone.
Definitely. And yeah, going through it too, it's crazy because a lot of the things that you talk in there is like, as I'm coaching, it's what I'm saying too, because the 2 real ways to get faster in swimming, you're decreasing drag, increasing propulsion. And decreasing drag is the easier way to get faster, because you don't have to get stronger or do anything else with it. And then you talk about proprioception too, because I always love talking to do that to like my 11, 12-year-olds, and they struggle to say it. And like kinesthetic awareness, and they like scratch their heads trying to get that about. But I mean, it's a lot of the same things that I teach as well. So who have been the people that have been most influential on you on swimming technique and in your swimming career?
Woo! That's a tough question, because there's so many like resources that I've tapped into. Like a lot of the swimming books that are out there, but even just like, there's so many awesome videos that I've watched and like coaches that I've seen either in real life at coaching clinics or online. Like, I remember, like, I went to the American Swim Coaches Association World Clinic back in 2010, and it was in Indianapolis, and Brett Hawk gave a talk about how his athletes were breaking world records in 2009, like Cesar Cielo, Bousquet from France, like a lot of these top swimmers. And he broke it down, talking about, 50 splits in the 100, how many strokes different athletes were taking on the first 50, the second 50. And, and also, at that same clinic, Greg Troy, Ryan Lochte's coach, and now, University of Florida and Dressel and all those top people were through there. He gave something about how Ryan Lochte was training for the 200 backstroke and the 200 IM. And so he talked about, and then he showed a video of Ryan Lochte going 22 seconds in a 50-meter long course underwater kick. And everyone's like, whoa. The crazy thing is Ryan Lochte can still do that at 10, 11 years later from when I listened to it, you can still do that, which is a whole nother thing. But yeah, so I think there's like those elite coaches that have been able to see what they've done. And like I'm at the same clinic, like Bob Bowman, Michael Phelps's coach, showing the actual sets that he's done. So that's like on the elite level, but then also on the more like beginner fundamental level. I mean, even the coaches that I started coaching with at the Grosse Pointe Gators Swim Club in Michigan, like all of those coaches, like I learned something from all of them. And so like I'd be on the pool deck and we coaching, 9-year-olds or 12-year-olds, and just hearing how, they explain something that they've done like hundreds or thousands of times and explain the same thing over and over. And then you pick up on that. And I think what's huge for anyone who's trying to get into coaching, swimming, or any other sport, the more variety of people you can hear explain the same thing, the better you're going to get at it, because you hear it from, here's the developmental way to coach it. Here's the elite, Olympic way to coach it. Here's the masters way to coach it. Here's the triathlete way to coach it. And the more perspectives you can get on the same thing, I think that's one huge benefit that I try and bring to my swim pro and the book and everything. It's like, I've seen swimming from so many different perspectives. Like I've been a meet official. I've been an announcer for a swim meet. So to have like all this different perspective and look at the same, it's the same thing. Someone's moving up and down a pool, but you're seeing it through a different lens. And I think that's what's helped me a lot in coaching and swimming and business as well.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've never thought about that, because like the youngest swimmer I've worked with was 3 years old, and the oldest one I've worked with is 66. And then I've worked with guys who are, top of the nation swimming in high school, actually talking to Bob Bowman about swimming out in Arizona. And then I have people that, takes them a minute just to do a 25. So I've like coached all in between. And it's just interesting because every level, you can't coach them the same way. You have to come at it differently, and you have to break it down different ways and teach it, what fits their level. And so I think that is cool that, with the app or even the book, you can kind of address those different points of the swimming career.
Yeah, of course.
So what's one of your top swim moments or memories? I know for me is when I was younger, I was at a swim meet and I had a poker case that had all the poker chips in it. And I was walking on the deck and it opened, and over 100 chips like fell into the bottom of a 14-foot deep pool. And so my coach was yelling at me, and we're like trying to dive down there so the meet can get going again. That's like one of my favorite like swim moments. Or like in the book too, you talk about like perfect races. I know for me, I had a 100 fly at UIC where it just felt effortless and it was best time. That was amazing. Or watching Jason Lezak at 2008 Olympics chase down in the relay to beat the French. Those are three of my favorite swim memories. But for you, what are your top swim moments, memories, or things that you witnessed?
Oh my God, there's so many. Like even as you described those, I was thinking about so many different ones. So this is one that I don't normally bring up, but it has to do, you reminded me when you spilled the poker chips in the pool. Yeah. So when I was growing up, I did summer swimming, like summer league and whatever. And so we would have like a fun day at the end of the summer where they put money on the bottom of the pool, like coins, and you dive for the money. So when you said like all the poker chips were on the bottom of the pool or something, I'm like, I used to dive for not poker chips, but like quarters. And I remember I would look forward to this like all summer, and it would be like the fun, and we would play like water polo and stuff. But those summer memories were awesome, and I ended up collecting like $4.
Yep.
But on the bottom of the pool.
So fun to go with the pennies.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, some other memories, like just if we go from like youngin to olden. So younger, would be those fun days in the summer, and then getting a little bit older. I remember I went, this was like my first big competition. I was 17. It was sectionals, and it was at IUPUI, and I was going only on a relay. So I didn't make the I just missed the qualifying time for the individual 100 breast. And so I show up a little bit later to the competition, like after it started, and like Indiana University people were competing in this meet. and it was like the biggest meet I've ever, and it was long course. I've never competed
Oh, wow.
in long course. So I'm about to end, and the timing of going to this event, I couldn't even warm up in the long course pool. So I've never done a 50 in my life in a long course pool, and I'm about to dive in at sectionals for a relay split, 100 breaststroke in a long course. I've never done long course,
Oh
right?
my
And so like
gosh.
I've seen it done plenty of times, but I don't have the training. I don't have the feel for it, nothing. And to add more pressure to the situation, this was in 2009, the last year the tech suits, the bodysuits were like allowed to be worn. So I'm wearing a bodysuit. I'm looking at all these like, and I remember the Indiana University swimmers would have the big like logo on the chest. So colleges were putting their logo instead of like blue 70, like right on the chest. So like, and all these like the girls were all bigger than me, and like the guys were like huge. I'm like, wow, this is like the real deal. So much hype. So I dive in the water, and my first 50, I was just like, I tried to stretch it out, right? I'm trying to go long that first 50, and I still like blew out like so fast. And so I died, but I was able to like, there's so much hype. I was able to like hold it together. And that split was like basically like my best time. like even like the next year, like I couldn't even go. I went a little bit faster than it, but like just the hype and like everything coming together at the same time, that was pretty crazy. And then so that was in like approaching college. And then more recently, and I wrote about this in the book, it was swimming from Asia to Europe in Istanbul, doing the Bosphorus swim. So like to set the stage for what that is, it's like this channel that divides the city of Istanbul, but also the two continents, Asia and Europe. So it's really cool because Istanbul is in, it's split between the two continents. But anyway, you start in a boat. There's 2,500 people. So they take you in a boat. There's two like ships, and you're in your swimsuit. It's hilarious. Like you imagine you're in a boat with 1,000 other people in just your swimsuit, because they're taking you to the starting line, basically. So they shut down the Bosphorus, which is this international channel that has like so much, shipping traffic and boats and all this. They shut it down for 3 hours. Everyone hops in the boat. They take you to the starting area. They build the platform while you're still on the boat. And within 30 minutes, the gun goes up, and then you swim back with the current. And it was such a cool experience because, that was like a big trip, obviously, going across the world to do something. But also I had good training. I felt good. I shaved down for it, and I felt fast. So, but separate from the swimming side of things, it was just a cool experience to do a race that was that unique with 2,000 people. And then when you're swimming, I mean, luckily the weather was beautiful and the scene is like majestic. You're looking, you're breathing, and you see, all this color of buildings, of trees, of millions of people. Literally, you're swimming by millions of people. And I remember I was going under one of the massive bridges, like one of the biggest bridges in the world, and I did a little bit of backstroke and just kind of like took it all in. And like, I'm trying to go fast, but at the same time, like, I don't care. Like, it's like, I'm trying to just enjoy the moment. Yeah, I'm going to swim fast. I ended up swimming pretty fast. I was like top 3 in my age group, and I got a medal, which was cool. But it wasn't like, I didn't care. I could have gone way slower. It wouldn't have mattered, because it was just a cool experience. And now I look forward to like, what are some other, I have some lined up, but what are some other cool experiences that I can do that are similar to that in different parts of the world? So hopefully in the next, few years or decade or whatever, I can do some of those.
Yeah, because you're doing the swim around Mackinac this summer, right?
Yeah, I'm doing the swim around Mackinac. That should be pretty cool. That's 8 miles. That actually requires more training. The Bosphorus swim is, you're swimming with the current, and it takes less than an hour. This is going to take like 3 or 4 hours or something. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. But I think there's even like crazier stuff that I'd like to do, but we'll save that for later.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's the fun thing too, is that yes, it's good to go out there and race, but then also at the same time, sometimes you just have to take in the moment and just enjoy what you're doing too, so you don't get burnt out, and you don't just let it fly through. Because I know Michael Phelps has talked. He's like, yeah, I've been to all these countries and great events, but I was just at the pool and he didn't get to enjoy all of them. And now that he's retired, he is getting to go to more of those places and get to see the city and enjoy it more now, which is awesome.
Totally.
All right, so we'll get into the end here. We'll wrap it up. I know this video is a little bit longer for people. If you're sticking around, thanks for watching. But I guess what would be, there's one thing before the little end here is, you also started World Swim Day. So tell me about that. What was that process like? Tell us about that.
Okay, so World Swim Day is an international holiday that empowers people to go swim and to be active in the water, and also promote awareness around, water safety and drowning prevention, all that good stuff. So like a lot of people, I tell them like, yeah, World Swim Day, worldswimday.com.org, check it out. And they're like the holiday, the thing? Like, I'm like, yeah, that it's like World Swim Day. You know, there's like World Walking Day or World, you know, AIDS Day, whatever. There's a world day for everything. And so people, they don't believe that like I started that or whatever. And it's like, no, the reason why I started is because it didn't exist. And how can there be a day like World Cat Day or whatever? There's a world day for everything. And the story for that was we were brainstorming like as a like trying to do something marketing wise for my swim pro. We're like, oh, we should get behind World Swim Day. Like, let's find out when World Swim Day is, and let's do. We had like I had this campaign idea around World Swim Day, and then I do a Google search. I'm like, oh, World Swim Day doesn't exist. I know how to solve this. I go to Google domains. I buy worldswimday.com, worldswimday.org. We figure out when's the best strategic date to, you know, get people talking about swimming. We figured out a date that worked, and voila, now it's been a few years, and I'm trying to work behind the scenes on trying to make it more formal with some really big like international type entities. But for right now, I mean, we've had, you know, a lot of people participate. We, you know, for my swim pro, at least, we make the mobile app free for the weekend of World. It's like World Swim Weekend, basically. Yeah. And, you know, we have like a dedicated workout that I write for World Swim Day, different levels. So there's like a beginner, you know, like you can do 500 meters, 1,000, 3,000 meters, 5,000, 10,000 meters. There's different workout options. So you can do a workout with people all over the world, like do the same workout, the World Swim Day workout. We also had a dryland version of it if people didn't have access to a pool. And then you can share it on social media with the hashtag World Swim Day. So now if anyone goes on any social media platform and they search hashtag World Swim Day, they can see people all over the world, and they can see like, oh, you know, that's fun. I want to be a part of that. And actually I have with me, this is a World Swim Day medal. So I'll hold it up in front of the camera so people can see it. But this is, you know, we decided to create a medal that, you know, commemorates the experience. And so if you sign up, you can basically get a medal, and you can be a part of World Swim Day. And you know, who doesn't like getting some hardware, right?
No, that's so awesome that you started that. And yeah, I can imagine people like, no, you didn't start it, you just promoted it. Like, no, you were the one that started it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, but that's like I mentioned, I'm a creator. So if I can, you know, be in a position to solve a problem and bring an idea to life, that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, that's awesome. And maybe we'll do another interview where we talk more about the business side of things. Because you say you're a creator, you're great at marketing. You have a team, an international team, which I imagine is its own beast to kind of manage out as well.
Yeah.
But that's for another day. So I guess to kind of wrap this up is, you know, what are your 3 top tips for someone who's in swimming and is looking to get to that next level? So what would be your top 3 that you could just broadly give anyone?
Woo, top 3. Okay, let's start with 1, and then we'll maybe branch off of that. Okay. So the most important thing for someone who's swimming, like the most important thing, is understand your why. And I talk about this in the book, I believe. It's, why are you swimming? Like, you need to really, because a lot of people, you know, they don't think about this. They don't know why they swim. You know, maybe it's just something that they've done their whole life and they don't know anything else, and which is fine. But, you know, you got to understand, you know, am I swimming because I'm trying to achieve a fitness goal? I like the mental clarity. It gives me structure in my day. And, you know, just take a moment and think about, like, why are you swimming? Is it different now compared to before? Do you think it'll be a different why in the future? But whatever it is, think about in this moment, why are you swimming? And once you understand your why, it makes it a lot easier to commit to a plan, find a routine that works for you. If you're trying to be more competitive, it makes it a lot easier to figure out the right regimen and people to surround yourself with that can help you in achieving that goal. So if you're trying to swim like the English Channel and you have a strong conviction as to why you want to do that, for whatever reason it is, it doesn't really matter what the reason is, but as long as you know why you want to do that, then you'll be able to figure out a plan, set smart goals, and surround yourself by the right people to be able to do that. And that'll also give you a lot more longevity so you don't get burned out, because you're doing it for the right reasons. And then you're saying yes and no to different opportunities and things that pop up. So if something's going to distract you from doing your swim workout, if you have a good conviction behind your why, you're more likely to just turn down that opportunity or that thing that's going to distract you. Or it's more likely to say yes to something that might put you out of your comfort zone. So I think, you know, I'm going to stick with just that one. I could go into so many tangents, but like my one piece of advice, like no dilution, there's no plan B. Figure out your why. Why do you swim? And everything will become a lot more, a lot simpler for you in sticking with it, being consistent, achieving your goals. And I talk about that in the book. So definitely find your why.
Yeah. And I think you talk about Simon Sinek in there too, because he's big on finding your why. And if you have a big enough why, you can do anything. And that applies to all areas of life. And that's
Mhm.
one of the reasons why I love swimming, is because, decreasing drag, increasing propulsion, is you can think about doing that in all areas of your life. What's been dragging you down that you can cut out and, get out of your life, and where can you increase propulsion so you can go faster, go further, be more efficient. And so there's just so many transferable skills that I love about it. And I think understanding your why and setting SMART goals is so important. Because I know for me is that I'm also like, I'm a yes man. When people ask me to do something, I'm like, yeah, I would love to do that. But now I had to think about like, okay, I have these goals I'm working towards. Is this going to help me get closer to my goals, or does it take me away? And if it's taking it away and distracting, I'm getting better at cutting that out and just kind of focus on moving forward with that. So I think that's a great piece of advice. I think, if you're a swimmer or not, that's key for your life, which is awesome. So Ferris, where can people find out more about you? Where can they pick up the book? Where can they check out the app? Like, what's the best way to, connect with you?
Yeah, totally. So the book Swim Like a Pro is available on Amazon, and you can just search Swim Like a Pro. Right now, at the time of this recording, there's just the paperback and Kindle version available, but the hardcover and audiobook is coming very, very soon. So if you want to listen to the book, you can get it on Amazon as well. And then me on social media is just my name. I'm lucky that I was able to get my full name on every platform, whether it's, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Clubhouse, whatever. I have every single platform. It's the same. Feel free to reach out. LinkedIn is good for the business peeps as well. And then my swim pro is myswimpro.com, or any of the social media. We also got lucky. We have my swim pro on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube as well.
No, that's awesome. So I definitely recommend the book. I know I've handed out several copies to people that I've been coaching with now. It's worth the read. It's enjoyable. Check out the app, and then hope to see you on a pool deck soon, Ferris. So again, thank you everyone for joining in, checking out this interview. The beginning didn't get recorded because I am technology illiterate and didn't hit the record button properly. So we got right into it. But again, this is Ferris Ksebati. He's the founder of My Swim Pro, world traveler, Masters national champion. He swam from Europe to Asia, TEDx speaker, and now he's been on an interview with Aaron Helander. So Ferris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it. Love everything you're doing.
Thanks. All right. We'll see you soon.